Hey everybody, synicalmanor here, and today we're in the Mi-24P Hind, and this is going to be a cold start. I figured I'd start doing some of the Cold War era stuff because most of, well, I won't say most, but some of the better servers online are Cold War servers, and DCS is kind of more about Cold War type era aircraft. They do have the modern fighters and things like that, but there's more Cold War stuff, like we just saw the Mirage F1 come in. Rumors of the Sabre F100 coming, so those are Cold War era stuff. And I know I play a Cold War server sometimes, and I really enjoy it. I suck at it, but I really enjoy it. And one of the favorites on there is the Hind. So I'm going to show you guys how to start this thing up today. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can use ground power, you can use your APU, or you can use the batteries. And we're going to use the battery today. We will be using the APU to turn the turbines in the helicopter, but we're not going to be using it as a power source. And you can see that we are in the Syria version of the Hind, and I would recommend that when you start learning how to fly this, go on your favorite server, see how they configure you there as far as what weapons you can use, what weapon loadouts you like, get your fuel set, and learn how to use that same setting to fly your Hind, because that's going to get you to the point where you want to be and get you used to the weight in the aircraft. I'm going to go ahead and raise up just a little bit. You can do that with the right control shift and 8, and to go down, right control shift and 2. Alright, so let's get started. First thing we're going to do, we're going to hit backspace and get rid of the stick. We're going to go over here to the right hand side, and we're going to hit the we're going to turn this over to battery. We're going to hit the right and left battery switches, DC power. We're going to go ahead and turn on the power from battery, and go down here and turn that inverter on. Now we're going to go over here, we're going to click this to turn, this is our weapon side of things, turn all those on, and we're going to click the left side, and you're going to hear the Russian version of Bitch and Betty come on. Alright. So shut up. Okay, and you can hit this little off button here to shut her up. Alright, so then we're going to go up here to the fire extinguishers. We're going to go ahead and turn the out one on, and the right one and the left one, I guess I should say. And then we're going to turn everything on from here. This is all our fuel switches. We don't have any external tanks on today, so we're going to leave that switch off and everything else on. We'll go ahead and close those covers. Okay, so we're ready to start the APU. So we'll go down here to this APU start panel and hit start. It's pretty simple. And we'll go outside to the aircraft, and you can see the APU firing up there. And our gunner just shut his door, so we'll go ahead and do the same thing. So when you shut that door, you need to seal it. So this wheel right here on your left panel, just pull that down until it seals, and you'll see the light here say the doors are sealed. Okay. So now that we got the APU up and running, and it's at normal RPM and normal oil pressure, and you can see it's, let me get where we can see it here, that's about 6,200 RPMs. We'll go ahead and start the left. Oh, can't do that because our rotor brake's up, so turn your rotor brake off. We'll start the left engine and go ahead and give it fuel there with the fuel cut off. And you'll see it here, it's already, the needle's already moving. And you can see the rotors and everything starting to remove. And while we're doing that, we'll go ahead and throw on the old beacon. Let everybody know we're starting up. See that outside flashing. So now it's just a waiting game. We got to get up here. I think about 75% is where it likes to stop at. Alright, our light's extinguished. We can go ahead and flip that switch down. Zoom in there. Flip switch down, hit start, and introduce fuel to the right engine. You see the needle move there. This will be a series on this aircraft too as well. So I have many videos planned for it. Weapons, radios, landings, all kinds of things. Petrovich, or as I like to call him, Petrovich, and all kind of good things. Now, they did do an upgrade on him recently. He does speak to you now, so you don't have to read text. So that's helpful. Alright, now engine 2 is up to par. So we're going to bring the old seat back. Excuse me, let me adjust my seat in real life here. It's dropping down on me. Alright, so we brought the seat back, and the reason we did this is your throttle here. You can either mouse it, whoops, not like that. Hit page up until it stops. And we're going to bring our engines up to normal operating. And we're going to get rid of the stick again. And they've stabilized. So we'll go back over here to our DC panel, and we'll turn our right and left generators on. Turn our right and left inverters on, or excuse me, our rectifiers, and then our left and right transformers. And we'll turn the power for battery switch on and the inverter switch off. And you can see we got two lights here. Generator, which is what we just turned on, and we got the APU on. So we'll go back to the left hand side and we'll just hit stop APU. Once all that's on, we're going to turn this whole panel here on. That's your navigation, your radios. I don't turn the eye on because that moves our moving map backwards. Radar, your blinker switch, IFF, all that's on. Now if you're on a server, this is your IFF up here, we'll test it. You're going to hear that thing constantly, so normally I flip that switch down so I don't hear it. Okay, but we'll leave it up for now. Alright, then we'll go over here and uncage our gyros. I click on each one. You'll notice our ADI and everything kind of neutralized itself here. And then we're going to flip the switch here on the right, SPUU power on, and we're going to turn all our autopilot systems on. And I like to go ahead and turn on my sights and everything and set those up. So this is auto and manual. I keep mine in auto. Sight, fire control, which is like your master caution, or not your master caution, but your master arm. And then I put it on a decreased rate, or an increased rate rather. And then we can, if you want lighting, that's your lighting panels. The aircraft, we'll turn those on with a right click. You've got some on your DC panel here, generator panel, whatever you want to call it. And we'll bring the stick back. Okay. You don't need this, I just showing you how to turn it on. And we'll go ahead and hit auto and sync over here here on our left hand side. Alright, so we are completely ready to go. The only thing we have left to do is we'll turn our nav light on bright so we can be seen from the outside, and we'll turn our taxi light on because we're about to taxi. And there's our taxi light, and you can see our navigation lights on the left and the right. Okay. So when you're taxiing, first off, let me go over one thing before I start on that. When you're starting your aircraft, we're on an airport, so we don't have to worry about dust. If you're in a FARP, this switch right here turns on your dust control. It keeps dust out of the engine. And there should be a little light. It's not, but there should be a light there showing that that's on. You'd want to turn that on, or you could cause a fire. We don't need it today, so I'm going to turn it off. So when you're taxiing, this is your basically a recentering on your rudder pedals. We're going to turn that off, and that's going to help us taxi easier. So I'm going to take the brake off. I'm going to pull back on the cyclic just to keep us from moving. And we're going to go ahead and increase. You can see here, this is our torque. We're going to increase our torque to about 3. And we'll just let her inch a little bit forward. We'll start to taxi. And if you get too fast, just pull back on your cyclic. As you can see, we're kind of at snail's pace, but that's what you want. That's what you want when you're taxiing any aircraft. We're going to take a right on this next taxiway. Go ahead and get on the runway. And this is just the easiest way to take off in the Hind. She can hover, but she's very heavy, about 11 tons when she's fully equipped with everything. So she's not, she's a very high power setting to hover. And I'll go over the hover as well with you. And then I'll go over, actually I'll go over the hover first, and then I'll show you how to do a good easy takeoff if you have a runway. Alright, so we're lined up here. Just going to pull back pressure on the cyclic until she stops. Then we're going to set the parking brake. Okay? So, to do the hover, we're going to go ahead and make sure we set our trim to about right there. And we're going to go ahead and give her some right pedal. And we're going to go ahead and increase cyclic until she starts to pick up. Now it's moved from where we lined up just because of the torque of the rotor. You see she kind of dip on you and move around. But we're hovering. She's a lot of power. You see we're about 9 on the torque meter there, 10. So she uses a lot of power to hover. So let me get back on the runway here, and I'll show you how to do a conventional easy takeoff in this thing, almost like an airplane. I'm not a helicopter pilot in any way, so this is a little difficult for me. Almost tipped her over. Okay. Probably would have been more helpful if I had the brakes off. Alright. And we didn't turn our rudder control back on. Alright. So we're going down the runway here. We're going to turn that back on. I'm going to give her about 3 on the collective. Little forward stick. Get her moving. Add some collective. And we're going to pull back gently. And there she goes. Gear up. Taxi light off. And she's flying. Now I will say that the Hind is probably the harder of any of the helicopters on DCS to fly. I can fly the K-50 with no problem. I can fly the Apache with no problem. But the K-50, or the Hind is a totally different beast. So we'll just trim her out, and you should have a trimmer switch dedicated on your joystick or throttle, and I'll show you what that looks like right now. We'll just hit that. That's your trim button press, and then I've also got a reset button there, and I've got those set on my throttle, but you can set them wherever is more comfortable for you. But my hands are off the controls, and I'm not putting any pedal in, so she's flying by herself. Now I'm back on the controls now, just kind of adjusting, but pulling some collective out so we are in neutral, and we're flying. Put a little left rudder in because we're drifting some. And I'll trim that. And you can see on our drift indicator, we're now at almost 0. So that's how to cold start the I keep wanting to say K-50. Cold start the M24 Hind and get her up in the air. So hopefully that was helpful for you. I'll be doing some other videos like I explained earlier and going over those. So remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.